Hi, this is a Maritimo M58. My name's Marcus. I'm the boat's owner. I'm going to give you a tour. First off, let's walk into the main kitchen salon area. I love this spot. It's a very open, friendly space. We've got a bar here on the right-hand side, got glasses and stuff stored in it. The kitchen table, the dining table, folds open or it can be closed. It does come with the coffee maker, and we've got a pretty spacious kitchen, including a dishwasher. Moving downstairs into the main salon, this is called kind of like the New York apartment look. I like this. Nice and wide open. Bed, they say it's a king. It's a small king, but it is a good bed, nice and comfortable. The other thing that happens down here is we've got two heat options. All the downstairs bedrooms are fired by diesel heat as well as by the electric heat on the boat. So if you want to anchor out at night, you want to stay warm, turn on the diesel heater. Works in all the downstairs bedrooms and up on the Flybridge. Walking into the VIP stateroom, nothing special here. It looks like the VIP stateroom on just about every boat you've been in. It is nice though because we've got the guest bath right next door. So you can dive into the guest bath. We've got closet storage in here. It's a decent room. My wife would much rather stay in the big one. The third stateroom is the teeny one. I've always called it the wine room because the wine is a lot happier in here than our guests are. Two small berths, very short, about 6 foot long. Very good for kids, acceptable for people if you're really loaded. I have tended to put guests up on the Flybridge. As we go up to the Flybridge, I'm going to point out some of the features up there. But this room is acceptable, but it isn't great. Walking up to the Flybridge, this is the third or fourth sleep option. The people that have stayed up here tend to really like it. There are all the accoutrements underneath the sofas to turn this into a full double bed. And you kind of feel like you're outside up here. I mean, you're more on the water, you're more a part of everything. The stars are great to look at. So frankly, sometimes I come up here and sleep as well. I like it up here. Sitting at the helm station, there's a full set of optional controls here that you might otherwise not recognize. First off, notice the twin discs. This is giving you joystick control over the movement of the boat. It works great. It's also got the skyhook feature, so you can just stop the boat, push the button, it won't move. The thrusters are all hydraulic. They'll run for a long time. These are not like the little cheap electric ones. These are real good hydraulic thrusters. Other features on the boat. Let's see. I mean, you probably should know about the engines. The engines are the twin 1136 horsepower cats. Standard on this was 800 horsepower, so she's got a lot of motor. I just did the full oil change on both engines and the genset. The genset's got about 1,400 hours. The main motors are about 835, 840. So it's been used, but it's been used carefully and it's been very heavily and well maintained. Top speed is in excess of 30 knots. And I like the Cat engines. They're a bit old school in terms of fuel economy. However, these engines are on a lot of commercial fishing boats, which means people up in the Northwest have got parts and there are people that know how to fix it. I've never had a lick of problem with these engines. I think they're fantastic. Fuel economy. Now, the other thing you may not notice is the fuel tanks are the 660-gallon twin tanks. So all up, there's 1,320 gallons of fuel. When I cruise at about 925 RPM, I get about 1.1, 1.2 nautical miles per gallon running at 925 RPM and 10 knots. You do the math and you can run all the way to Juneau without filling up again. Where you're really going to like that is when you pull into some isolated fuel station that's got dodgy fuel and it costs like hell. You're going to wave at it as you go by. All your boating buddies are going to be in there getting fuel. At wide open throttle, you don't want to pay the fuel bill. I very rarely run it in excess of about 20, but she will cruise quite comfortably at up to about 26 or 27 knots. Other features that are a little unusual on this boat is one is the teak floor. I use this boat to fish, and it fished great. I like the teak floor because I've tromped through this salon many times with fish scales, blood, and water all over the place, and it cleans up great. Other optional accessories, a big one is it's got a 1,600-pound davit. If you notice the dinghy, it's a 70 horsepower dinghy on a 70 horsepower motor on a 14-foot dinghy. It is also set up to fish. The other thing I like is I routinely would cruise with 6 people on the boat. And I've never understood why you'd have a boat that carries 6 or 7 people and a dinghy that carries 4. Here, everybody gets on the dinghy. You can run around just fine. Never had any trouble with it. It's also chipped so that the mapping in both the dinghy and on the boat runs all the way up the coast to Alaska. So all of your map sectors are already built into all of the computer usage. So in the cockpit of the boat, there are downrigger mounts for Scotties. It comes with the Scotty electric downriggers. They're down in the lazarette. They're bolted to mounts. Those same downriggers have also got mounts that go on the dinghy. So if you want to leave people on the boat playing Monopoly or doing whatever and get out and go fishing for a while, the dinghy fishes great. I used this boat as a cruising fishing boat. So it was very comfortable to cruise in, and I'd load up my wife and our couples and take off. But, you know, after a certain while, usually the couples would go and I'd load it up with all my fishing buddies and we'd fish it. And I've got it set up so that this second helm in the cockpit comes with all the throttle controls. I've got the same screen I've got up at the main helm. I've also got a Garmin auto remote you can steer the boat with. So when we're trolling, visibility, you can look right through the boat and troll. And I will troll from the cockpit all the time, which is great because somebody gets a fish on, you're back there to help, you're back there seeing everything. You're not stuck and isolated in somewhere else in the boat. Fish is great. And it works really well. I've caught lots of fish on this boat. Hopefully you will too. There's a couple other things on here that you'd ought to be aware of. It's got a 40-gallon-an-hour water maker, and I've just serviced the water maker. It's also got a gyro. That is I can't remember what number seatkeeper it is, but it's the one that's appropriate for this boat. I like having this really big lazarette. When I'm out cruising, I got all the toys on here. So you might have noticed it's got kayak racks on the side. I load up those kayak racks. I put a double on one side, a single on the other. The walkways going up the sides of the boat have got a curve in them as you get to the bow. Paddle boards slide right into that curve, so you get them down out of your line of sight and can easily mount them securely to the boat. So it's great for toys up in the front. Then in the back, it's got a good swim set, and I added the barbecue and the fish cleaning table. So everything you need is back there for fishing. It's got a 220 volt outlet and a 110 outlet built into the Euro transom, which means you can put your vacuum packer or whatever it is and set it right up on the transom. The transom itself has got another electric barbecue, which I never use. I always use the other one. And it's got a refrigerator freezer box that you can use for either. I also have a cabinet in the kitchen, in the galley. It's another great big drawer. The same thing. It's a freezer refrigerator option. So the way I tended to use it is I'd run out with all of the stuff set on the refrigerator and full of fresh vegetables. And as we start catching the fish, I run down the vegetables and run in the fish and start replacing the refrigerators with freezers. I get back and routinely will have on board 120, 130 pounds worth of fish. Fits in the secondary freezers. You've still got your freezer available on the main refrigerator. The other comment I'll give you on this boat is, if you want a fishing, cruising boat, I don't know how you do any better. I mean, I bought this boat after looking around a long time. And what I was looking for is something that could comfortably carry 6 people, something that was very fuel efficient, that had a long range, and a boat that if I really wanted to get, the heavy weather's coming in, I need to get somewhere in a hurry, well, I get up and run it at 28 knots. I liked all of that. It's been used for that. And you'll notice some stuff when you come look at it that's handy for that. I've got a light weather bridle in the front that's good for just quick anchoring. There's a heavy bridle up there. It gets really windy or you're in seas. It'll hold the boat in anything short of a hurricane. So she's pretty well set up, and the boat comes fully equipped. So it's got dishes, flatware, cooking stuff. You'll notice it's got a nice Jura coffee maker. All that stuff is included. I'm not going to get into another boat. I'm going to go with my uncle and share his boat. So I'm selling it for that reason. The boat is for sale through Bill King at Seattle Yachts. I'm sure you can find Bill, but I have found him to be good to deal with, and I hope you do as well. Anyway, thank you for going on a tour with me. I hope this voiceover was helpful in terms of understanding the boat. If you've got any questions, I'd love to answer them. Thank you, and happy cruising.